My body was not ready for this chapter. That end. Oh my god. Okay, so this series just shows why I think this has a lot of potential. It also shows you why it's doing so well in the rankings. This chapter alone shows me why it's just doing so well in Japan right now. Now I understand. If you didn't understand the hype now, or you didn't understand why it's so popular, this chapter will definitely open your eyes. Oh my god. We have a lot of setup going on in this chapter that's going to be taking place probably for quite a long time. Because the end of this chapter, what it does is it dabbles into some dark themes. And when I see dark themes, I jump on that shit. I'm like, yes! I love dark themes in my series. I love it so much. And seeing the way with the villain yet to be actually named, Dr. Hands, just calling him Dr. Hands, it's a placeholder until we find out his real name. Dr. Hands. That the entire dialogue he said at the end, the final, like, freaking panel. He's like, oh, All Might's not here? Well, I wonder if we can get All Might here if we kill the kids. Damn, dude, he's fucking, oh my god. Okay, so, yeah, we got a very good villain. My first impressions, not just character design, but first impressions of the dialogue, he already is looking like a badass villain. Did you see that face he showed? Like, the fucking hair, like his eye? Oh my god. Oh, dude, that's nasty. That's fucking nasty. Like, oh my god. That's a villain I like to see. And to see how they're actually going to be trying to kill the kids to get All Might's attention. Wow. Now, I want to talk to you all about something that I noticed this chapter is setting up. And I theorized 3 chapters ago. I talked about it. I talked about how All Might, with Izuku actually revealing his power to Bakugo, that's not something that should have happened. For instance, Izuku should not have revealed anything on All Might's power to Bakugo, because if that information falls into the wrong hands, it could cost All Might his life, cost him his life. People can take Izuku and try to get his power, stuff like that. It also made me bring up the Furies about 2 quirks. Pretty much stuff like that. Well, with this chapter, it sets up something that, like I said, for multiple chapters now, All Might's being set up to die. He's being set up for a death. Because in this chapter, All Might states that his power is weakening. He, cannot stay in his, transformation power state as long as he used to. It's slowly dwindling down with the timer. And also, his speed is deteriorating. He doesn't have the same exact speed he used to have before he met Izuku. And to top this off, he's actually just getting weaker all around. So, this is not good. And also, you have it to where the aspect in this chapter where it's left off of, All Might currently cannot transform. Like, he's weakened, he's having to rest, he's having to stay in the break room because he can't transform because, he's in his weakened state at the moment. And so, you have these villains coming in trying to find All Might, and what's going to happen when All Might hears about this, that they're coming after the kids' heads because of him? He's going to be very upset. He might even try to transform, and he could die in the process. Or, you can have the entire aspect where maybe they will discover All Might's secret and they will kill All Might while he's in his weakened state. So, yeah, it's a very, very mind-blowing chapter what it sets up with those entire aspects. And it makes me really respect this series a lot more because it's setting up these dark themes. And like I said, I love my dark themes. If the mangaka can continue to actually dabble in these dark themes and continue to use them and do it right, I will be unbelievably happy. Oh, I'd be so freaking happy. So, there's a couple things in this chapter. There's very subtle things going on in this chapter, too. For one thing, Great Boy. I just want to get this off the table. Before I go into different things, I just want to talk about Great Boy. Great Boy. Okay, Great Boy. The most important character in this series, or the most important side character in this series. Like, oh my god. I remember when I pointed out, a couple weeks ago in the middle of the fight, at chapter 8, I pointed out that Great Boy was staring at Momo's Oppai. I'm like, he is staring at her. Remember I pointed that out? Well, in multiple chapters since then, we've constantly seen him act like a pervert. He said subtle things. For instance, last chapter, he talked about how, all skirts of women should be very short or whatever. He said, some form of dialogue around that. Well, with this chapter, if you pay attention very closely, you will miss it. I actually missed it. Achievement pointed it out on the Chibi Facebook community page, and I'm like, oh my god. If you look, I'll have the picture on the screen for you can see for yourself. Ochako is walking, and behind him, if you do not pay attention, you will completely miss him. Great Boy is just completely stalking Ochako, looking at her. Look at that shit, man. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what the fuck? Great Boy, man. What the fuck, dude? Oh, that is amazing. That's amazing, man. Oh, my God. Great Boy. The most important character. The most important character. Oh, my God. I love him. I love that character. Oh, my God. Okay, so now that I got off that and I've showed you all that, let's talk about the other things. Okay, so we, find out about different types of quirks in this chapter. There was specifically dialogue in this chapter that said, you know, you're an enhancer type quirk user. Izuku. Where have I heard enhancers from? So yeah, we're gonna have emitters and maybe even a specialist when it comes to the quirk powers. Because, wow. Are you telling me the manga is trying to implement things from Hunter x Hunter? If so, I'm kind of curious. I'll see how this goes out. I'm very curious if that's exactly what that's trying to make me believe. Now, the other things, too, with this chapter, you have it pretty much setting up for whatever this fight is about to happen. For instance, you have the entire school go on a class field trip called the Trial of Rescue, and they meet Space Hero number 13. I think his name is just 13. That's like his short nickname. Number 13 is pretty much like a dude that can use black holes. And it's a really, really OP power if you think about this. Like, being able to make black holes anywhere you want is actually scary as fuck. That is very powerful. And it makes me think about something real quick. At the end of this chapter, when you see the villains coming out, there is a black hole that opens up. Did number 13 open that to let the villains in, or do the villains have a power that's kind of similar to number 13's power? Because it's very odd, but they were talking about black holes pretty much, or wormholes pretty much, like black holes, wormholes, kind of the same thing. It's slightly different, but kind of the same thing. It's kind of weird we were talking about that aspect, and all of a sudden, like a black hole opens up, and the villains come out. Suspicious. Very, 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 very suspicious. Now, with this chapter, too, the other things you can get from it is the weakness of Izuku. You have it to where All Might points out the weakness of Izuku. Izuku's weakness is his sincerity. He's very sincere, and he really doesn't lie much. He doesn't lie often, and that is his biggest downfall, because he actually revealed, you know, All Might's secret, pretty much, about how he can give people his power. So, with this aspect, we know for a fact this is setting up for something really bad in the future. Definitely, this is going to be one of the main plot points in the future with All Might. All Might most likely will have his secret discovered, and you'll have it to where Izuku is either having to save him, or maybe All Might's going to have to save Izuku because the secret will be discovered, because maybe Izuku can actually transfer the powers over too, since technically he's already taken the power. So we'll have to see. Overall, an amazing chapter. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.